The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
Well, on our guest line is somebody who has a lot of experience in helping RVers who have been taken advantage of. He is the founder of a law firm that only deals with RV law. His name is Ron Burdge on our guest line from Ohio. Thanks for being with us, Ron.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm, if you would, please.
Well, we're a boutique law firm, which basically means we only do one thing, and we're relatively small here in Dayton, Ohio. But I do a lot of traveling because of all the RV work, and so do the others in the office. We've got a staff that interviews callers who've got problems so that we can figure out, well, who we can help and who not. And I've been handling cases for consumers against RV companies since the early 80s.
What kinds of cases do you typically represent? Give me an example, if you would.
Well, a good example, a recent example actually, that ended up with a real nice result from a jury who was as upset as the owner was a RV trailer, a $44,000 RV trailer that the RV company, it had defects, and the RV company wouldn't even bother to go out and look at it. It was beyond the widow's ability to do anything with. She was a really wonderful older lady who was a widow. Her husband had died from Agent Orange and from the Vietnam days, and she had all kinds of problems with the RV in short order after buying it. She left it at the dealer and gave up and started a case, and the RV company just fought, and we finally ended up in front of a jury. And the jury didn't give a whole lot of time to where the situation was. They could tell real quick who was right and who was wrong. And that lady ended up with a jury verdict of $250,000 over a $44,000 RV because the RV company just didn't care. She had all kinds of defects and got a royal runaround. The dealer was probably the only one who cared, but they couldn't really do anything because it was out of their hands.
Wow. Are you seeing the number of complaints or claims? Have they changed over the years? Are they getting, because there's so many new RVs being made at these factories, are there more and more nowadays, or about the same as there's always been?
Oh, there's much more. Matter of fact, last year they churned out 500,000 RVs, brand new, shipping them out to be sold retail. The industry did. And I see more bad RVs now than I've ever seen, and more defects per RV than I've ever seen. And it doesn't seem to make any difference what the brand is or what the price is. Until you get somewhere around $1 million, you can very well figure that there's going to be problems. And the problems are all over the board, all kinds of things.
I was going to ask you if there are some general categories that you see, all the time. It's like, most folks come to you, it's either a plumbing issue or an electrical issue, or I think you said they're all over the board.
Well, they are all over the board, but if you had to say, what are the biggest, most common problems, slide outs and water leaks are just a perennial problem. Just about ever since they invented them, they've had nothing but problems with those. That's probably one of the reasons that European manufacturers didn't put slide outs in for the longest time. But the slide outs, that's the biggest problem. Electrical systems, when you go building an RV, it's real easy to penetrate a wire that's buried God knows where when you're putting it together, and that can just make for an intermittent electrical nightmare that never seems to quit. That's also a pretty common problem. That and just the fit and finish all over the RV. And they tend to be far worse now than I've ever seen. They're not all bad by any means. But the problem is, from what I've seen over the years, it seems like either you get a good one or you get a bad one. And when you get a bad one, you get a real bad one.
But they look the same on the dealer's lot, don't they? I mean, they're nice and pretty, and they got the decals on them, the bling, so to speak. How do good people get drawn into these situations? They pull off the lot, and all of a sudden they wake up, their dream has become a nightmare. How's that happen?
RVs look beautiful. Absolutely true, and no question about it. The best thing the RV industry managed to do was to make them look really, really good. And then to get people very excited about what they're buying. A lot of people, they work all their lives. They get to the point where they finally are able to spend a little less time working, or maybe just retire totally. And they take a lot of money out of their savings or their retirement because they're now going to finally have a chance to take the grandkids, because they already had the kids grow up on them while they were working. And they want to go visit everything that they had no chance to go visit with their family when they were growing up, or at least not enough chance. So they get in the RV, and next thing you know, things start to go wrong, and it's just a nightmare. It just never seems to quit sometimes. Getting into a service department is a real big problem from square one with any of these RVs when you get a problem.
Let's back up a little bit and talk to me about RV lemon laws, if you would, in general, without getting too technical. But as I understand, these lemon laws vary from state to state, and some of them are pretty stringent, and some of them are real open and ambiguous. Talk to us about that.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of different types of lemon laws. Every state has a lemon law, but they don't always cover much of the RV, frankly. There's also a federal lemon law, which is the oldest of any of the lemon laws. It goes back to the early 80s, and it covers any consumer product which picks up the RV. And basically, under that law, you can get what you want to get in terms of either money back, or you can settle with them and get a whole lot more than just simply getting a refund from a jury, and get a whole lot faster sometimes. So you got the federal lemon law, and then you've got all these state laws. The state lemon laws, they usually do not cover anything that is part of the living quarters. So you're really left with only your chassis, and then only on a motorized RV. But that doesn't mean you're totally out of luck, because there's two other laws that usually can apply to an RV situation. One of them is the old warranty laws that every state has got. And then the last one, which is the one that I think is probably the most effective, is called UDAP laws, Deceptive Acts and Practices laws. Every state's got one, but they're a little different from state to state. But those laws basically say that it is illegal for any merchant to do anything that is unfair or deceptive to a consumer. And when you think about the price you pay for a new RV and you get a bad one instead, well, that's pretty unfair to the consumer. Deception and with other things.
Well, and not only that, but I think when people buy a new RV, they're assuming it's like a manufactured home, maybe like a mobile home. So, it used to be called a mobile home, but even manufactured homes have to be built to HUD standards. Not so when it comes to RVs. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alan. And that's one of the big problems in the industry. There really isn't any uniform standard applicable across the board other than what they decide they want it to be that particular day. It gets to be a real problem. But you get into the manufactured housing area, or you get into regular cars and trucks, and they have a lot more regulation of the industry. So the result is quality is pretty much required in order to survive in that industry. In the RV industry, you just got to make money. It doesn't matter what the quality is so much.
All right, Ron, hang on. We got to jump for a break. Folks, we got Ron Burdge on the line with us. I say he is our badass lawyer of the week. He is specializing in RV law and protecting consumers like you and me. And we're going to talk more. We got him for the entire hour. This is the RV Show USA. Got a question? 855-296-7469.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
And we are back. We'll begin taking phone calls for our RV lawyer guest, Mr. Ron Burdge, here at the bottom of the hour. If you got a situation with your RV dealer or manufacturer, you'd like to run it past Ron, the phone number is 855-296-7469. By the way, you can follow us on Facebook at The RV Show USA and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Ron, can you give folks another example of maybe a situation that your clients have found themselves in? I know you've represented thousands of people, but give us another recent one that comes to the top of your mind.
Well, lamination problems in the industry. Lamination problems with walls and floors. It's a weird situation in the sense that if it's beginning to be a problem in the RV, it may occur very quickly after it's been built, but more often it's going to drag out and begin to show up a month, 2, 3, 6 months down the road. And literally, you can end up with walls that start warping or coming apart, or exteriors or floors, floors that seem buckle up. That kind of a hidden problem happens, and then the next thing you know, it's a major problem. I've had a couple of those cases where literally the floor just buckles up or it has waves in it, and it's just really weird.
But then you've got, if that happens to me, Ron Burdge, if that happens to me, I've got now I've got an RV that I'm making payments on, I'm paying insurance on it, all the different fees that are associated with it, and it's not usable anymore. Now I get to take it to the dealer, and that can sometimes start a whole nother chain of events that oftentimes does not end up good.
Oh yeah. No, that's absolutely true. And then you may get to the point where you feel like, this is just getting nowhere. And so you want to figure out what you can do with the factory end of it when they ignore your calls or they don't attend to it quickly. And then you pull out your warranty, and then you begin to see all the sneaky warranty clauses that they've all started packing warranty language now. You actually would have more legal rights if they didn't give you a written warranty than the ones that they give. That's how bad the warranties are.
You emailed me a little bit earlier, and I was shocked when you talked to me about a change to a major manufacturer's warranty. If you want to name names, you are free to do it. Tell everybody what's going on and why reading the paperwork is so critically important.
One of the things that a lot of people do is they take the dealer's word for things, and they look at the shiny new RV, and they figure they're probably not going to have any problems, or at least nothing substantial. And if they're lucky, it turns out that way. But these warranties now, they have a lot of what I call sneaky clauses, and the newest thing I've seen is this definite full timing that Forest River is stuck in the new warranties that they're putting out with the new RVs. And the way they've defined full timing basically is going to cause a lot of people who aren't full timing to lose all their warranty rights. They've defined full timing as basically meaning that you continually occupy the RV for a period of 30 days or 18 days per month in 2 or more consecutive months. So basically, when you have an RV that you live in an area of the country where the season is just 3, 4, 5 months long, you've got to start watching how much you're actually using that RV, or the next thing you know, you could end up with no real warranty rights whatsoever. And then anything they do for you is just goodwill and good luck.
That sounds almost unbelievable, Ron. It sounds like, how do they get away with that?
They get away with it until they're arguing in court about it and a judge says otherwise. But, of course, most of these RVs, the huge majority of them, come out of Indiana. And the laws in Indiana are very conservative. The ones that used to be made in Oregon, and some still are, but the Oregon legislature was also very friendly to the industry. But the problem is, until somebody fights with them about it, the clause is there. And I'm sure that they know that if they put a clause in there that scares 90% of the people from enforcing their legal rights, the result is that they make more money.
So that's the bottom line, and I'm just saying this is my opinion, but it seems like to me, if I were the manufacturer, I'm making more money now than I ever made. I can pay my attorneys to stall, delay. I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody. I'm just talking, if I only want to make money, I can make enough RVs to where, and I can make it so difficult on the consumer to come after me that most of them are going to give up. That if I have to deal with Ron Burdge, once or twice a year, I can pay that settlement and keep making the money because it's coming in so fast. Am I off base, do you think, by saying that?
No, I think you hit a home run. That's pretty much exactly where the problem is. I've told more than one manufacturer's attorney or warranty manager that if they would just build RVs right, I'd go back to writing wills. But that's probably not going to happen for a long time. They've got a couple of other really sneaky warranty clauses in there, and people need to read that warranty before they get the RV so that they know what they're actually going to get. Now, the factories will stand behind it, all sorts of things, and most of the try hard to do a good job. And the people who work there try hard to build RVs right. But the problem is higher up in the food chain, so to speak, in terms of who controls and who does what. for instance, one of the problems that a lot of these RV warranties have now is that they actually shorten the time within which you can actually file a claim against them. That way, if they lull you into going on a repair program, let us work on it, or have the dealer work on it, go to a different dealer. Well, they can't get you in for 2 months. Well, then when you do, go ahead and get it worked on, and we'll help them out. And the next thing you know, you're 13, 14 months down the road, your warranty has just run out. And guess what? Your legal rights also would probably have evaporated right around that time. There's a lot of RV companies that have got a clause in there that cuts off your legal rights 13 months, 14 months, 15 months after you bought the RV. And that assumes that you've got one where you don't have any of the other clauses that are going to take away your rights.
It just sounds like a nightmare. The more I listen to the fine print, what's in the fine print in many of these new RVs, it's people think they're buying like a new car. I'm buying something without problems. A new RV is not built like a new truck or a new automobile. Not even close.
No, it isn't. Not close at all. Part of the problem for that, I think, is simply because there's almost no real regulation of the construction standards or of the industry itself. So the result is that it's pretty much the Wild West when it comes down to what the quality is going to be. The quality is going to be whatever the company wants to put in it. And unfortunately, when you get a company that's really, really big, they get a lot more concerned about the money than they do the quality.
Years ago, back when they made, the original Airstreams and Avions and Shastas back in the 60s, I still see some of them on the road today. I cannot even imagine, I don't think 2% of the RVs that are being manufactured today will last 25 or 30 years. They'll all be junk. I mean, if they're used.
Right. I was in Nebraska on depositions about a month ago, and driving along the interstate, going back to the airport, I was passed by one of the old GMC RVs.
Wow.
Now, that's an old one, man. But I had to speed up because I wanted to get a look at it, because you just don't see those things hardly anymore. But they're still out there, and they're still running around. Gas haunts, but they still make it.
All right, Ron, hang on. We're up against another break. You can hang with us, can't you?
Sure.
All right, good deal. What do you think, folks? Is this good info, or is it turning you off by hearing some of this negative, the dark side of the RV industry? Lots more still to come. Don't go away here on the RV Show USA.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
All right, if you're just tuning in, you want to get caught up, you can hear the entire hour commercial-free on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. You can watch us on Facebook. In the Facebook search bar, type in The RV Show USA and check us out. RV lawyer Ron Burdge is with us. We're hearing some of the things that many in the RV industry probably wish that we would not be talking about. Ron, from your perspective, do you see a change coming maybe regarding dealers and manufacturers, or is any change that protects consumers going to have to be forced on the RV industry?
Pushed onto the industry in all likelihood simply because the industry since '09 has gotten so wrapped up in the profit aspect of what they're doing that, and also the old timers who started most of all of these companies are gone. So the result is that these are now being run by corporations, and corporations don't have nearly the personal responsibility for the most part. There's a couple of exceptions, and you can always tell when there is an RV company that is owned by one person whose name is out there in front, because they usually try a little harder than the rest of them do. But I think that it's going to take some legislation and some governing of the industry, some more regulating. And I know people hate the idea of regulations, and I'm not fond of it, but the reality is that's how you get quality up, because you can drag them kicking and screaming into it. But the reality is it's only going to happen pretty quickly if we get some actual legal protection for RV owners who spend thousands of dollars on what they intend to have for a future that only find out that it's in the shop in a matter of a couple of months.
Raymond wants to know if there are any key points when he's reading the fine print to scan through the warranty. And I said during the break, I think he needs to scan all of it, and not just scan it, but read it carefully and slowly.
There's some particular ones to watch out for. Before you buy the RV, before you sign anything to buy the RV, you really need to read the warranty and decide if you can live with it. For instance, there are some warranties, a couple of them, that specifically say that if you put the title to the RV into a corporation name, your warranty goes out the window. Another one that I know of says that the warranty cuts down to a flat 90 days, and then you're on your own after that. If you want to save the sales tax and set yourself up with a Montana corporation or whatever, and then put it into a corporation title, you can do that. Just recognize that when you save that sales tax, you're erasing part of the warranty, if not all of the warranty. So watch out for that. Another one is business use. A lot of people, they will run a modest part-time business of the sort out of their RV where they're selling anything. And if they're doing it by use of the RV, a lot of these warranty clauses say that you don't have any warranty anymore. So you got to watch out for those things along with that full-time definition.
And what you just said in the previous segment about Forest River now putting in the fine print into the warranty, it doesn't cover full-time RVers if you live for more than 30 days in your RV. I mean, that's essentially spending however much, 40, 50, 250,000 on something with no warranty at all. That's terrible.
It is terrible, but that's the way the industry always tries to contract the consumer's legal rights. So, and by that I mean literally restrict them so that they can do what they want without having to do what they should do.
When does an RV owner, Ron, know when to call a lawyer? When do because most of us, I think, we say, you know what, the dealer's nice and they trust the dealer and we've got plenty of time on the warranty. And then I imagine you get phone calls and it's too late. When do I, as a consumer, an RV owner with a problem, when do I contact you?
You're absolutely right. Quite often we get calls from people where it is too late. The way to do that is look at the warranty and take a look at how long you've got to file a claim. Usually it's a month to 6 months after the warranty expires. If there's nothing in there that puts a limit in like that, then typically you would have 4 years. Well, that's a world difference in terms of legal rights. But if you've got that short time limit, that may be enforceable in your state. And the result of it is that if it is, then you got to move quickly. So the way I look at it, frankly, is if you are still having problems with your RV and you're on month 10, then it's time to start talking to a lawyer because you don't want to be finding out 13 months after they keep promising to get it in the shop and it's another delay and everything else. The last thing you want to find out when you call that lawyer up finally is, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, we're gonna be up against a break in about 40 seconds, and on the other side, I want to ask you about documentation, about buyers needing to document things, and when do they need to start documenting things. So you can hang with us for another segment, right?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
All right, good deal. We got Ron Burdge on the line with us. As I say, he's our badass RV lawyer, and I told you it was going to be good. Hope you're enjoying my chat with him. We're going to have him on for one more segment. If you'd like to visit about your situation, you got to make it snappy, but you can call us toll free at 855-296-7469, 855-296-7469. Ron, stand by. We'll be right back.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
All right, Ron Burdge is with us. Ron is an RV lawyer, probably one of only a handful of lawyers in the country that specializes solely on RV situations that owners have with dealers and manufacturers. And Ron, from a pure business perspective in terms of people needing a lawyer to help solve their RV problems, I guess business for you is pretty good at the Burdge Law Firm, huh?
Well, I hate to say it, but it is. It was more tranquil and peaceful before I got into this, but it's been in this a long time, and it's interesting. It's fascinating, the stories you hear from people and the problems you see with RVs.
Are there any warning signs that buyers should look for when they're purchasing a new RV that could maybe indicate a red flag? Walk me through that,
There are. In fact, I'll give you 3 quick tips on buying an RV, things to keep in mind to do. One of them is RV leftovers, the model year or the model itself. It's an older one. It's a year old. I've had them up to 3 years old, being sold as new from the dealer. They've sat there and they've sat there. You don't really know how long. You should never really buy one of those, and they're going to really try to sell them because they're going to mark them down like the dickens. But the reality of it is those leftovers can be a real problem because they could have been cabbaged or cannibalized along the way while they're sitting there in order to get parts off of them to make other RVs that have already been sold runnable again. So the result is you don't know for sure what you're getting. So an old RV that's still sitting on the lot or a discontinued model is a high-risk RV. Also, never take delivery and never sign a document if you have seen the RV and you see there are problems. Always make them fix those problems before you sign anything to buy it. And for goodness sakes, don't drive it off the lot until you've double-checked again. An RV dealer will do almost anything to get your signature and get you off the lot, and that includes fixing it. But they'll always tell you that you can take it on a drive and then make a list of everything that needs to be done and bring it back. That's the biggest mistake you can make, because when you call back to make your appointment, you'll find out you've got a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day wait before you can get it in the shop, and your warranty is disappearing while your RV is sitting in the driveway. And the third tip I'd give you is all those add-ons that they sell or try to sell to you when you buy an RV, the service contract, tire protection, and all that other stuff, huge profit margins in those things. Huge, just unbelievable profit margins. But the biggest one that I see, I don't have any problem with the idea of the service contract because of the way they build them. Tire protection, you need that for road purposes, I think. So that's not a bad idea, but there's other stuff, fabric and paint protection. And the biggest rip-off that I've seen so far is a relatively new idea in the last few years that is sort of an anti-germ treatment. It kills 99.9% of the germs in the RV, and they charge $2,500, $3,000 for the treatment. Well, you know what kills 99.9% of the germs in an RV?
What?
A bottle of Lysol.
It sounds like a pretty good profitable thing to add on to the dealership, maybe.
Boy, you think so? Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Hey,
That's a couple of things.
A couple of things. Rod, who is listening online, he asked a question. Have you heard anything bad, or you ever had a problem with Lance?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Good. And let's see. Another one is when you go after you buy from a dealer. When you have a problem with, for example, the refrigerator or the toilet, is it the dealer that has to stand behind it? Is it Dometic if it's a refrigerator or toilet or product? Who is standing behind that product? Is it the manufacturer, the dealer, or the vendor, the supplier that put the part in the RV, or all of them?
You have to look at that briefcase that they have in the RV where all your warranties and owner manuals and everything are.
Yeah.
What it boils down to is if you, as the buyer of the RV, got a warranty that is to you as the owner of that microwave or refrigerator or whatever from the company that built it, then there's a direct relationship and a direct responsibility. If there's no warranty from that component supplier to you as the owner of the RV, then the factory is obligated to stand behind it, the RV company itself. But the reality is that all these RV companies have side agreements with all of the suppliers, and a lot of them will simply process the warranty claim in the back room, so to speak, while in the front room they're taking care of you and taking care of the dealer to get the parts dealt with and taken care of so you can get back on the road.
What about third-party inspections? You know, I'm seeing more and more people that are these independent small businesses that are inspectors that go in and inspect these new RVs, and I'm hearing that some dealers say, we've already inspected them. You're not allowed on our lot. What do you think about demanding a third-party inspection if you can get one?
I think if you can get one, it's not a bad idea at all to have one done, as long as it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg in the process. It is a very good idea simply when you're buying a used one, far more than anything. But it's not a bad idea even when you buy a new one, especially if you're a newbie and you've not had one before. But those guys can spot things that you may not spot. But if you keep your eyes open and you're buying a new one, you'll find a whole lot of things, just looking carefully, frankly, that they're well worth it. And if an RV dealer is so afraid of what they're selling you that they don't want another professional to look at it before you buy it, then you're at the wrong dealer.
You got that right. What about cost? Now, this is cost of hiring a firm like yours versus the chances of me getting some kind of a settlement. Are people able to get relief, or is it mostly throwing good money after bad? And I know that's probably an impossible question to answer, but when I do contact a Ron Burdge, I mean, cost versus what I get back.
Yeah, that is a problem in the legal industry. However, when it comes to these laws we're talking about with bad RVs, all of these laws, except for the really old breach of warranty law from back in the 60s when it was created, all these newer laws, they typically give you the right to recover your attorney fees and sometimes even your litigation costs, in fact, in most cases, against the manufacturer. So not only are you looking at getting your money back or getting some damage money to make up for the quality level of what you've got, but also you're looking to go after getting your attorney fees paid too. But attorneys handle cases in different ways. There's some attorneys who charge a contingency fee. That's not the way we work, but there are some who charge a contingency fee, which means that if you get a $300,000 RV, you could find $100,000 of the refund going back to their pocket instead of yours. I don't think that's fundamentally a good way to do it, simply because if you got a bad RV, it's not your fault.
Right. Hey, Ron, we got to wrap it up. Call it there. We're gonna put your contact information on our website, and we're gonna put it on the end of this video on YouTube, so we can get folks in touch with you if they have a question or problem. Thank you so much for being on the show with us. We appreciate it.
Glad to help out, Alan. I hope some people got some good tips.
I'm sure they did.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
Hey everyone, I'm Miss Katie Warren, aka the Graphics Girl on the RV Show USA. Give us a like by clicking the thumbs up button down below, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye everybody.